Cyberpunk got its 1.5 patch this week, and it is a massive one. It affects all platforms and adds a ton of content, including for Stadia, along with a new FOV slider. So let's get into it and take a look. What's up, cloud gamers? Welcome back to the Cloud Gaming Extreme channel, your destination for all things cloud gaming. The Cyberpunk 1.5 patch is here, and what does that mean for you on Stadia? Well, there's a ton of content that's been added for all the platforms, including Stadia, and this is new weapons, additional apartments for V, hairdressing and changes at your mirror in your apartment, rebalancing of gameplay, economy, and loot systems. We also have an FOV slider change for Stadia, which we'll also take a look at, something I was happy to see. And they don't really break out any other real improvements, even on the patch notes as far as Stadia, and they tend to clump it with PC, which can be kind of annoying, but in culmination from the launch all the way up to 1.5, there have been graphical differences made to the game, and we'll take a look at those here as well. Like I said, this patch is absolutely massive, and if you're a Cyberpunk player, I highly recommend you go read this so you'll know a lot about the changes from the AI, the combat, the driving, crowd improvements, apartments, so on and so on. It just doesn't end here. And as far as Stadia specific, we have that field of view slider that I was talking about, and we'll take a closer look at an example of that as well. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of side-by-sides I have of the original launch of Cyberpunk and some new footage that I took. So while all these changes don't come with patch 1.5, it's interesting to see the launch version to now. And the launch version high frame rate mode right here, we'll go ahead and switch over to what this looks like today on 1.5. A massive improvement to color accuracy, shadows, lighting, and graphic quality altogether. Same thing when we go over to the launch version of the visuals mode, which I wasn't that happy with at launch, but as we switch over and take a look at it today, it's a much better looking game, and they've increased the lighting and shadows even more for quality mode, and it looks great. Over on the launch version here, side by side, you can see we definitely have an increase in this character model and lighting in the garage here. Same thing as we go over to visuals mode. It's not a huge difference, but it's definitely enough to notice. As we get into some side-by-side action here, looking at old versus new, if I really look for it, I can see better color accuracy here as well, including in the sky, lighting on the pipes and wires, and just little things that kind of make up the difference. Same thing as we go over into visuals mode. It basically felt the same as playing it at launch, but as far as the visual quality, it definitely feels better. Now, when we get into the Burnout, I definitely wanted to take a look at this and see what the difference was, and you are able to get into this a lot more, and with other vehicles, this could be pretty fun. That's not to say there aren't some interesting bugs still, though, because if you're like me, and you want to be able to drive down those stairs for a shortcut, this might happen to you, the old levitating car, and I can either just reload or wait until it's time to get out and accept my fate. In this case, I just decided to let the car explode and accept my fate. But these are very annoying bugs that still exist, and this isn't the only one. This happened right after I started trying patch 1.5, so keep an eye out for these type of things that can still happen. Now, when we get into a little bit of the motion, it's pretty much the same as it was at launch. I get a little bit of stutter and things here and there I always have in this game, whether I'm at 60 or 30 FPS. Picture quality as far as resolution looks very similar, but like I said, some of those shadows and other graphic quality changes are apparent. Now over here in the visuals mode, also, I noticed the same kind of similar little stutter I have, which is typical for 30 FPS as well. But when I get over into just moving around, the 30 FPS, while I can't really deal with the 30 FPS that well, the frames felt consistent. And I had a problem when I was on high frame rate mode, even in different parts of the game, where it felt a bit janky and inconsistent, and I think you can see that in this video as well, and I'd be interested to know if you guys have had any issues like that. It doesn't feel like the solid 60. If I look at my launch version and the motion that was happening here, like I said, very similar to what we have now. I'm used to that little bit of micro stutter in this game, or having some of that issue, but some of those frame drops I was feeling, which is probably from the increase in graphic fidelity, I'd like to get smoothed out. Let's move over to the field of view, and this is set to the default 80 right here, and we're going to go ahead and switch it over to the maximum now, which is 100. This is why I love the FOV slider and use it to the max almost in every game. It really offers an advantage, especially in a PvP game, but it's really nice in a game like Cyberpunk as well. As we stand here with our gun drawn, we'll do the same thing. This is back to 80, and we'll go ahead and move it up to 100. You can see how much more field of view you have, and for me it makes the game much more pleasurable to play, and it also helps you see more of what's coming at you. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up our video for now for Cyberpunk patch 1.5 on Stadia, and there's absolutely a ton of content to go get into. Not everything is fixed and not everything is perfect when it comes to the game, but it is much better and there's a lot more to dive into. I'm super happy with the FOV slider and I'll definitely be cranking that up to 100 while I'm playing. I am a little disappointed in the performance when it comes to the high frame rate mode, but I kind of always have been. It's never quite been as smooth or as nice as I want. I appreciate the graphical improvements that we've seen since launch, but I would like to see a little bit better when it comes to that frame rate mode. The visuals mode looks great and the 30 FPS feels pretty solid, and if I didn't have such a problem personally playing 30 FPS and getting motion sickness and headaches, I would probably go ahead and use it for what feels like a more stable frame rate. But for me, I'll be playing in the high frame rate mode with maxed out FOV. Let me know how you guys are playing Cyberpunk on Stadia in the comments down below. And as always, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.